Former WFC champion Henry Cejudo is once again having his last fight in his career and will headline the UFC Fight Night 252 tournament in Seattle along with Song Yadong. For the Chinese athlete, this is a great opportunity to regain the positions he lost in the fight with PEREIRA, and the veteran is eager to live beautifully. So everyone promises to give their best in the octagon. Many prefer Song, who performs much more often than the veteran and is clearly in better shape. The powerful and charged Kung Fu master has long been eager to add the head of the former champion to his resume. Henry has clearly already passed his peak, and his motivation has raised more and more questions over the years. In the fight with Dvalishvili, a completely different performance was expected from him, but the former champion could no longer show his former condition. In this video, we will try to analyze the strengths and weaknesses of the fighters, their strategies for the fight, and their current form, and at the end I will give my personal prediction for the outcome of the fight. Comparative analysis of the fighters. Yadong is far ahead in height and reach, which in addition to his striking technique does not mean the best prospects for Henry. Song has more accented attacks according to statistics. He charges in almost every combo, and besides, if he hits, he will be able to defend against a counter transfer. In fact, if Cejudo cannot combine strikes to the legs, body, and with a transfer to the head, along with total pressure and the highest pace in each round, the Chinese athlete will take the center of the cage and will drive him aiming for that very decisive punch. Is the ex-champion now able to maintain the rhythm for all 5 rounds? Of course not, and he will definitely slow down, but Yadong will not be able to either, so we should expect an escalation much earlier than the championship segments. Guys, I'm waiting for your predictions for this fight in the comments. Please don't stay away and share your opinions. I will be very interested to read. Current form and readiness of Song Yadong. The Chinese fighter is 27 years old and he has already gained experience with many middleweights in the bantamweight division. The guy has a healthy reserve and he shows rapid progress in his skills, quickly closing the mistakes made in past fights. Of course, the ex-champion is another leap in the position, but given the rest since last March, Song is simply obliged to present a completely new form and fresh developments in the fight. Strengths and weaknesses of the fighter. Yadong is more about striking technique. For his weight, he has a very heavy punch, which he successfully launches at the end of combinations. Kicks with his legs are also at level, and he allows himself to fight middleweight fighters. Durability and decent cardio complete this picture. But Song is very dependent on the position in the fight. If he is not allowed to be the first number, he begins to go ahead and then loses the initiative. What is noteworthy is that Sanhagen and Yan transferred him to the floor, so the Chinese could also have problems in the meeting with the Olympian. Strategy for the fight. The fight with Yan was a huge chance for Yadong to instantly break through to the top of the roster, but the defeat made it clear that there is still a lot of work to do to get to the title. A triumph in a fight with Cejudo is unlikely to give him a promotion in the rankings, but by defeating the former champion, Song will prove that he did not fly into the top 10 by accident. Yadong will start connecting a high kick from the front leg and extended hooks to make it difficult for Cejudo. He will invest in every attack during the exchange and will throw a combination of a right cross and a left hook. Song will suddenly close in, launching a boxing series, and then immediately pull back and continue to attack with kicks to the head. He will try to change the distance as often as possible, sometimes throwing punches from a spin. Yadong will work aggressively, believing in his defense from the fight at the fence. In my opinion, opinion, all the skills will not be enough for a Chinese to defeat an experienced veteran. So my dear viewers, what do you think? Please give feedback in the comments. I will definitely read everything and answer everyone. Current form and readiness of Henry Cejudo. The fighter is already 38 years old. Of course, in this case, there is no point in talking about any improvements. Rather, the opposite. Accumulated injuries and damage, understanding of the lack of championship ambitions and physical decline will certainly affect his performance. Now we can only hope that Cejudo will give a bright fight, confirming the presence of strengths in the old school. And do not forget that the ex-champion beat the top Cruz, Moraes, De La Show, and even Demetrius Johnson. Strength and weaknesses of the fighter. Despite all the merits on the wrestling mat, the same Dvalishvili showed that all this is far behind. Sometimes Henry is even more dangerous in a stand-up position, as he has a knockout punch, and in general he kicks well, moves well, and counters. Of course, with the opposition of Yadong's level, he can frolic on the ground, but will he have enough mobility to control positions with their constant change? In addition, Cejudo has been idle for a year, once again losing interest in confrontations. At the moment, in addition to age, the issue of sports, motivation, and acute, and this is not taking into account that ex-champion is gradually losing his skills on all floors. Strategy for the fight. Yadong is 10 centimeters taller than Cejudo, so it will not be easy for the American to reach the opponent's head. However, Henry is used to being inferior to his opponents in size, and usually this does not bother him, especially since their fighters have almost the same arm span. The failure in the fight with Merab greatly broke Henry, and he honestly admitted that he was tired already in the first round. The Olympian's ego clearly did not allow Cejudo to leave the UFC on this note. But today, despite a series of 2 defeats, the American remains in competitive shape, and having undergone good functional training, he will become a real threat to the Chinese fighter. Henry will try to get behind his opponent's front hand as often as possible and land a sharp low kick. Constantly moving and throwing long side kicks, Cejudo will measure out their ideal distance to develop an attack. He will use dives to deliver sharp uppercuts and disguise takedown attempts. On the ground, Henry will put all his strength in the controlling and blocking Yadong's legs. If the Chinese fighter starts to get tired, Cejudo will remember the fight with Moraes and will use devastating finishing moves. I'm sure that the veteran will prepare very thoroughly for this fight, and his existing skills will be quite enough to win. My dear viewers, what do you think? Please give me your feedback in the comments. I will definitely read everything and answer everyone. Well, if everything drags on and the opponent's strengths are too equal, Cejudo can simply impose clinches and tire his opponent, and then realize his potential both in wrestling and in the stand-up. In fact, Song looks quite vulnerable to Henry due to his straightforwardness, but it is difficult to predict his form. In any case, I do not see any prospects for a knockout or submission in this fight. Guys, I also want to remind you not to forget to look at the description under the video. There I have collected a selection of other cool videos about the UFC for you. Please go and watch, there's a lot of interesting stuff there. Yadong will set an intense pace from the first round and will take this 5 minutes due to kickboxing series. His team studies the opponents well, so Song will be prepared for typical attacks of Cejudo and will be fresh enough to avoid transfers to the ground. In the following rounds, Henry is able to recope, making his movements and striking combinations even more chaotic. At the same time, he will begin to take the front leg more actively, and even if not from the first time, he will still transfer Song to the canvas. Henry seems to me to be the favorite due to his experience and unusual style, which will create problems for the straightforward Yadong. In addition, despite his age, Cejudo is in quite competitive shape, wrestling skills. If his cardio does not fail him, he will allow him to take the necessary 3 rounds out of 5. And in the stand, the former champion has retained a dynamic and cautious style of work thanks to which he can avoid dangerous exchanges, but at the same time, deliver his boxing series. So, my prediction for the fight is that Henry Cejudo will win and the fight will go to a decision. Stay safe, stay tuned. Love you, my subscribers and my viewers. Hey, let's get started. In the comments, I will definitely. He will use